video to share my experience of applying to Dutch universities, especially for psychology major. Before going into the video, I wanted to talk a little about the reason that I am taking this video. I have prepared for Dutch universities this year and have participated in the selection process for a psychology program. But as an international student, the admission process of Dutch universities were quite new to me, and especially for me planning to major in psychology, I sometimes really felt overwhelmed and I wasn't so sure whether I am doing okay or not during the whole process. So I really wish that I had someone who could share their experience or give some advices about going through the selection process and about this whole process of applying to Dutch universities. So what I thought was that I would share my experience for those who will or who is planning to go through the same process that I went through, and hopefully I really wish that this video could be helpful for anyone who is preparing to study psychology in Netherlands or for actually any other selection process majors in Netherlands. So I planned my video to talk about three big topics. First, the general admission process of Dutch universities, and second, about the numerous fixes, which is the selection process, and third, my experience of preparing for Dutch psychology programs and especially the selection process that I went through. So starting quick, first about the general process of Dutch universities. This is the information that you can really just Google once to find out, but I'll really just review this really quick about the general process. So you should look for a program and the universities, of course, and check the requirements, which depends on, especially for international students, you should really check about the English certificate as well. And you can apply through a study link before the deadline. Usually numerous for majors of numerous fixes, you have to apply much earlier than the other majors, which is not a numerous fixes. And after applying through a study link, if you are not one of the majors that is taking the selection process, I guess you will be done, yes. For the number of universities that you can apply to, you can apply to usually 4 to 5 universities, which depends. Each year it changes a little, but last year, actually it's this year, you could apply to up to 4 universities for including the numerous fixes. And for numerous fixes majors, you could only apply to 2 universities, which will be 2 programs. There are a lot of English top programs as well as Dutch top programs in most of the major Dutch universities. And secondly, about the numerous fixes, is that some study programs, the Education Institute has set a certain capacity, and this means that a limited number of places is available. And if you are taking one of the majors, which is the numerous fixes, you have a really high chance of going through the selection process because there are the number of seats available, and usually students are way more than the number of available places. Yeah, not only for a psychology major, for majors like medicals and dental, business, I think, were, and more, but you can really check after you decided your major and your program, whether your program is a numerous fixes and that you have to take the selection process or not. And next, it's about highlight of this video, I guess. The main reason that I've decided to film this video about my experience of applying to Dutch universities into the psychology courses. So actually, going right into the point, I have applied to 2 universities in Netherlands, which is the University of Groningen and Radboud University, and I have been successfully admitted to the program. Before going into the details of each universities and how I prepared for the selection process, to talk about my background really quick.
I have graduated a global high school in South Korea, and my school used the US curriculum, so I could register through the US high school requirements. But I did need to turn in my English certificate, which is like TOEFL or IELTS, yes.
I chose to register for the 2 universities, Groningen and Radboud, considering my GPA and other conditions, which actually is the AP exams, advanced placement exams, that I needed to turn in for as my minimum requirement. Yeah. So first, University of Groningen, I had to apply through StudyLink until 15th of January this year, and this was all same for the universities in Netherlands applying to psychology program, where I guess for the numerous fixes majors programs. And for Groningen, I needed to write a motivation letter. I'm not really sure whether it's really correct to pronounce it as Groningen. Some people say Groningen, but I don't really speak Dutch. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, for Groningen, University of Groningen, you have to submit a motivation letter before you participate in the selection process. This motivation letter, you have to write about why you want to study in Groningen and why you want to take the course, why you decided to study psychology. But this motivation letter doesn't really include in the selection process, so it won't be really graded, but you do need to submit one in order to participate in the selection process. About the selection process of University of Groningen, I took three online multiple choice exams, and the test results was compared with other participants who participated this year to determine my admission to Groningen and to the program. The contents, or actually to say, the chapters do change each year about exactly what you will be tested on, but the subjects don't change. I remember that, so I was tested on the 3 subjects of biological psychology, statistics, and social psychology. But for social psychology, I needed to watch the lecture of a professor in Groningen and also study the chapter myself as well. Okay, so about Radboud University, personally, I thought the selection process in Radboud University was a bit easier compared to Groningen, and also the study load for an exam was smaller compared to Groningen as well. So there were the 3 steps for Radboud University selection assignment, which were the online test and the online matching assignment and an online questionnaire on the grades obtained during your previous study, which for me was high school. And I had to study these 3 chapters for the online test, which were learning, emotion and motivation, and social psychology from the literature they sent me through the email. And the chapters were from the textbook psychology, and this goes same for both the Groningen and the Radboud University's online test, but since the literatures are given through email and you have to take the test online, it's an open book exam, which you can check the literatures and the notes that you've written during test time. However, since it's an open book test, there aren't that much of time given during your test, so you should really make your own notes or have some notes on the literature page for your online test. So about how I prepared the online test, I used my iPad first to study the literature since they were given in the PDF file. But later on, before the exam, I had to print out all of them and made my notes on the literature so I can really check it quickly during my exam time. And this was how I prepared the psychology test for Radboud University. And Radboud had 2 more assignments compared to Groningen. So I had to do an online matching assignment, which was writing an essay about why I wanted to study in Radboud and why I wanted to study psychology, especially using the curriculums or the programs in Radboud University. The online matching assignment is graded compared to Groningen, compared to the motivation letter that Groningen University required. So I had to put some effort to write the online matching assignment. You get about 1 month to write the
online matching assignment. However, you have to finish the psychology test before in order to submit your matching assignment. And last step was the online questionnaire, and this really wasn't a big deal. You just had to type in what you've learned in your previous education, which subjects you had, which courses you have taken, and that was pretty much it.
그럼